Hey, everybody. I'd like to introduce my brother, Pete Pallis from AnAkA, who's joining us tonight from Brooklyn. Brother Pete, say hello to everybody up here in Rochester, New York, and again, listening across the world now.
There he is. There's the old wolf. What's up, Rochester? Great to be with you guys, man. It's great to be with you tonight, and let's have a good time, have a nice talk here. How you been, brother?
I've been doing good. I know you've been really busy. You've been in the studio. You and I have been kind of dancing around trying to find a time frame that works because you guys are recording new music again, right?
Yeah. We're working on album number 6. The sixth ring, as me and my brother call it, old school Chicago Bulls Michael Jordan fans. So we always bring that up every once in a while. That we look back on. Man, we're looking back on 23 years of history, and it's been incredible, man. To be able to look back and see that, and see the bands that we've played with, and to be, in the studio with our longtime producer, the Jerry Farley. It's incredible. Album number 6. We're in the mixing process right now, and it's been great. It's really been great.
I know that's fun as a guitar player because that's where you get those little nuances. You hear those little notes, and you're like, "Ah, damn! One more time. Let me go back in there and do it again."
We recorded it at a place that we've like literally started to see as home now. It's a place called Nova Studios in Staten Island. Literally, it's a mansion on the water. It's beautiful. In that recording room, when you're in that session room, it's like you're literally looking out into the horizon of the ocean the whole time. So it's a very creative place. And I think that, the way it's been now with all the stuff that's gone down, man, we got in there early. We got in there in, I'd say late November in 2019. And then, as you know, everything kind of hit the fan there in 2020. So we had to take, some time off of it, as everybody did, kind of locked in their homes and, not knowing what was going on. But at the same time, we got back at it, and there was a lot of challenges, man. We had babies born and different things like that. Jerry, our producer, and actually the bass player on the record, on the new record, they had a little girl, and we had to. It was an amazing situation there, and she had some health risks that we had to deal with and all that stuff. She's doing great now, but, family comes first, and there was a time where it slowed our process, but here we are, man. We're really ripping and rolling with the new songs and just mixing it, and his little girl is doing great, and
that's great.
It really is. Yeah, man, it's the focus of, just kind of staying the course. And, the idea that when a storm comes in, you find something, you hold on to it, and you kind of know that it will pass. And, life is full of challenges. And the cool thing about it is to see what has come from everybody sticking together and pushing forward. We just headlined, a couple of weeks back, we headlined Gramercy Theater for Live Nation, and 7 Crown Records, and man, it's been just great, hitting Starland Ballroom earlier this year, and Dingbats and Arlene's Grocery, and all the shows that we've been playing. You never lose focus on the fact after 23 years that none of it is a given. It's all earned, and it's
a gift. It's a gift to some degrees too. I mean, you've been dancing this for a while, like you said, and one of the things that's always stood out to me, you have that old world or that old school dynamic about it. It's about family first. It's about the music first. You could have cut all kinds of corners. You could have done a whole lot of things that a lot of bands, for whatever reasons did, but you didn't. You were like, no, I'm doing it the way that I want to do it, and if that means that it's going to take us longer, to cut through it, then so be it.
It's kind of been the code of the road for us, that idea that you just brought up. Zero shortcuts, man. 23 years of zero shortcuts. We got, me and Jimmy, my brother, Jimmy Pallis, he's our singer. Matt Benet, our guitar player. Our drummer, Jordan Bernaccia, and our producer and bass player on the record, Jerry Farley, and then we have Jeff Hines, who actually, man, did he do a great job for us stepping in. Jeff has been incredible for us. He's been a friend of the band for all these years, and now he's just, he's taking Jerry's spot in terms of the live setting, making sure that that spot is rolling, and it's great. It's incredible. It's like you have a band, and it's like a team, and we have a couple of amazing guys that are either starting or coming off the bench on bass, and Jeff has been incredible for us. I think you guys are gonna see him, at the upcoming shows at Dingbats, and continue to see him, like Stereo Garden. We're headlining a couple of shows coming up, and also out in when we hit Saratoga for the Rockin' Oddities time. We're looking forward to all of it, man. The new record, releasing it to radio like we always do through our own self-built record company, Godsend Records. It's just a different time in music, man, and we've tried to stay true to that and understand the changes and everything that have happened. And the new record, it's going to be incredible. I can't wait for people to hear it. We're listening to the mixes now, and it's
I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, I know you guys have been working on it for a while, so this is really not only a new album, but it is part of the shifting of the journey, the next chapter, as they say, for you guys.
Oh yeah, it's going to be incredible, man. We just can't wait to get out there and do all that stuff that we do. The radio, the TV with the music videos and the shows and everything. We're really psyched to do it.
Now tell us a little bit about the band. You and I were joking about the Brooklyn thing off air and stuff like that. Give us a little bit, for those people who, are not familiar with you, how the band was born, what it means, the Brooklyn tie-in, in your own words. Do it in the Brooklyn style, as we say.
You got it. Well, yeah, I mean, we come from a similar stomping ground, same place. Brooklyn, New York, to us is just home, man. You know what I mean? It's, of course, me and Jimmy were born and raised here. Matt, we met when he came in from France, and he tried out for the band, and it was just an incredible addition to the band. Band started, with just a bunch of Brooklyn boys from Brooklyn, New York, back in early 2000, man, and made the rounds. We started playing places like Lemore's. Early on, we knew that there was a focus in the band, and we knew we had something. We cut our teeth in clubs in New York City, like the Continental, and CBGB's, the CB's Gallery, Don Hills. Just an incredible journey, from where we started to playing places like Jones Beach Theater with Korn and Avenged Sevenfold and Asking Alexandria. Playing with Zach Wild, Zach Sabbath at Starland Ballroom. It's just been an incredible road for us. But the absolute truth is that we never forget our roots, and there'll be times that we literally, like a different, like Fifth Avenue Festival in Bay Ridge in Brooklyn, we'll just get all our gear and put it in the middle of the street of the festival and just literally play. You know what I mean? Blocks from where we grew up. So it really is definitely about our Brooklyn roots and, kind of the blue collar attitude that we've always had towards doing the work. There's no smoke and mirrors with AnAkA. Like what you see live, when you see the videos or you hear us live, the intensity of it, that stuff is all real, man. And I think people really lock into it and connect to it. And that's how we have our faithful, loyal AnAkA army that we've been building.
Well, it also reflects the old metal scene. You mentioned Lemore's and, Dingbats and some of the other places over the years that have kind of, were the focus of the scene, down in Jersey. You had a couple other places, unfortunately, again, the pandemic took a lot of that away. But the mentality, and, even when you joke about it in the Brooklyn thing, it really is that local old school family dynamic. It's not just an Italian thing. it really is that community thing. Because you watched, as I did, how Brooklyn changed just in the period from when, you were a kid to where we are now.
I mean, it's in the blood. It really is in the blood. I was looking through some photos the other day, and I saw, me and Jim, like, back in 2003 at Fastlane Studio doing my thing, and anybody who knows Fastlane Studio, that was like one of the old school, Flatbush Avenue studios that everybody came up in. All the Brooklyn bands came up in. So it really is about that. It's in the blood, and I think that you could hear it, the attitude of it in the music. I really do.
Well, I've always appreciated that you guys were you were raw, but you weren't sloppy. You know what I mean? There's a difference. We both know, you can be a great technical player, but if you don't have that ability to kind of really get dirty, as they say, it doesn't translate between studio recording and playing live. There's a big difference. You can make a great studio album. You can do a track 1,000 times over, tweak it, auto-tune it, do all these crazy technological things. But when you're on a street corner, just plugged in, it's a whole nother ball game. It's either sink or swim. There's no way around it.
We've always been that way in terms of like the tightness of the band. We always say that we have to be razor sharp, shiny and razor sharp, and I think that if you listen to our sounds from like Devil's Road, down Devil's Road, the first record, to the Rust and Jade record, to Glorified Crusade, even into the Great Unknown album and the Unwavering album, you'll hear that there is definitely a growth in sound. And what we've actually done is we've gotten heavier as we've moved along. But the one thing that you'll always notice is that tightness and that razor sharp precision has always been there for the band. It's like we really like take pride in our playing, and like you'll hear that in the music. But also we are, we really honor the players that have come before us, and like the Iomis and the Hetfields and the Mustaines that of the world, and all that stuff, man. There's Corrosion of Conformity, bands like even Killswitch Engage and stuff like that, Gojira.
Dude, the first time I saw Merciful Fate was at L'Amour's, you know what I mean? Trying to weave your way through the warehouse district there. And you remember, that place, should have never existed, but it did. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It kind of has a very similar vibe, I think, to how like CBGB's was, but really more, again, for the metal scene.
Yeah,
and
we saw Black Label Society there, like their first year. We saw Motorhead, literally. I was standing right in front of Lemmy. Incredible, man. And you're right, it almost shouldn't have been there, but it was. It was really great. It was incredible, to meet Zakk Wylde there and to see, really early on, even before I started AnAkA, see what it's supposed, what it was supposed to look like up there. I mean, I go back all the way to when it all started. For Jimmy and I, we used to rent the Iron Maiden Live After Death video cassette over and over again. And I just remember being blown away by that. And man, to come all this way through all that stuff and to see what we've been able to do and what we've been able to accomplish with it, and to honor all of that is tremendously important for us as a band. So that if you hear, any of those different types of, I guess, inspirations in the music, that's on purpose, man. We love that stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, you can hear it, but it isn't, like you guys are running it as a tribute thing. Like you have a distinct sound. No. Like you can tell, and it's one of the, the neat little things that I always love being a guitar player. Not everybody's going to be Randy Rhoads. You know what I mean? Not everybody's going to stand out to the degree that, hey, okay, that's Randy Rhoads. But those of us who've been playing for a long time know little subtleties that you can hear within style. When you brought up Maiden, for me, the first Maiden album was, when Paul Di'Anno, broke out with Prowler and stuff like that, I was sold. You know what I mean? It was like, all right, this is where music is going.
Incredible, yeah.
Who influenced you more? Was it more Adrian or was it more Dave?
I mean, it's all of them to me. I remember, listening to probably the first song that really got me was Wrathchild. So I love the earlier stuff. I love all of it. I really went, I think my focus was, the Power Slave album, the first couple of albums, the Peace of Mind record, Number of the Beast, all that stuff, man. That stuff I think created the idea that maybe I could like one day do what these guys are doing. Ronnie James Dio, Holy Diver. I remember sitting, as a kid right in front of the record player, looking at the record and looking at the art on the record while that amazing, incredible intro played loud, the beginning of Holy Diver, and it was just something happened at that time. And
it changes your religion.
It literally, I just knew this is what I wanted to do, and then fast forward to seeing like the Metallica one video a number of years later with those killer ESP guitars that, I just remember thinking, man, what an incredible thing it would be to be as cool as these guys that have those awesome guitars, and we're now, endorsed by the same company. We're endorsed by ESP. We're endorsed by ESP guitars, EMG pickups. We're also endorsed by Kirk Hammett's KHDK Electronics, the pedal company, the guitar pedal company. If you guys haven't heard about that, man, really check it out. They're doing like innovative stuff over there. But it's incredible, right? It goes from a spark to a roaring blaze. If you stay true to what you believe, what you're dreaming, but when you put the work behind it, you know what I mean? It can't be like, I have this feeling that I want to do this, and then you sit down the couch, eat potato chips, and hate on other people that are doing it.
Well said, my brother. Yeah.
It can't be that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like when you see that or when you hear it, it's like, dude, it's like you're just robbing yourself. You're sitting in your own filth and you're robbing yourself of the inspiration that comes with watching other people reach for greatness. You know what I mean? Reach for doing something great. Like I said, we saw Zach Wild and Black Label Society. I think it was probably in 1998 at L'Amour's. In 2017, we're playing Starland Ballroom with Zach Wild. You know what I mean? I mean, he awoke something in us at that time, and it was just like, it was like, okay, the chase begins. I'm doing this thing. It's going to happen. And looking back at all of it, playing Irving Plaza, playing Highline Ballroom, man, listen, we talked about it. We started Godsend Records for a reason. We sat down with people, and we saw the writing on the wall. None of this was easy, planning it, creating it, making it happen, sticking to our guns. None of it was easy, but it's incredible to be able to look back on and know that you got a history, man. That's really cool.
And our scene isn't like American Idol. You know what I mean? You've been lugging gear around like I have for years. You played in places where you got to worry about if some, strange hobo is going to take a piss on your guitar cabinet or all kinds of just wackadoo stuff. And that's not even getting into the idiots and wannabes that pretend to be promoters or this, that, or the other thing. So it takes a lot. It isn't just, hey, here they are, it's the Monkees, and everything just fades to black. And, it's a lot of work, setting it up, getting it together, promoting it, breaking it all down. I know you've done, the 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, finally wrapping it up and getting back home, and then just having to start your normal day right after that.
Of course. And how hard is it to do that, right? You get home, you're still adrenalized by the whole situation. You try to get some rest, you don't get the rest. You don't get the rest. You just wake up the next morning and you do what you got to do.
Well, it's a proverbial no rest for the wicked analogy, right?
It's incredible, man. It really is. And you're right. There is a lot of people out there, wearing various masks and trying to do various things, trying to, pull you this way, pull you that way. There's good people out there and there's bad people out there. And you got to kind of like, work through all of them. This guy's trying to steal from you. This guy's trying to help you. But at the same time, as you do it and as you move through it, you kind of see it all, and you eventually outlast all of them if you keep making the thing happen.
You've also taken the old world approach to it, is that you've built your own support network. You promote your shows, you know what I mean? You're doing your production, you know what I mean? You have people who help you, obviously, but again, you didn't cut those corners. You didn't take the easy way. You didn't just sell it out and say, okay, listen, I'm going to just throw a bow on this and throw it out there and hope it sticks. You literally, again, did it the old school Brooklyn way. Say, I'm going to build this up brick by brick, and, whoever wants to come have a slice with us, you're welcome to. If not, hey, have a nice day.
You know what? It's cool that you say that. Brooklyn, New York, it teaches you to learn how to kind of go with your gut. So that's literally what you're saying there. And it's absolutely true, man. You meet so many different people, We've sat down for some meetings that, you really have to have your head on straight and hear what's being said, what's being uttered, what's in contracts, and you got to go with your gut, man. And I think in the end, creating Godsend Records was what worked best, for us. And through it all, we do everything that the indie records do, TV, music videos, radio, all that stuff, music choice. Erase was incredible. Erase from the Glorified Crusade album. Everything changed when we did that song. It hit #1 on MTV online across the world. It was literally incredible to see it online. It was like it was there with Justin Bieber's and all the.
Well, I'm not sure you want. I'm not sure you want to attach yourself to the Bieber or anything like that.
What I'm saying is that it was heavy metal, right? And it was on a list that heavy metal shouldn't have been on. And it started in Brooklyn, New York, from a bunch of guys who just believed in their music, right? And there's this thing that happened with that song Erased that went worldwide. It broke all these boundaries. So it's okay that it's there with his name because it shouldn't be there, but it got there. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is that the song broke so many boundaries to the tune of hundreds of thousands of views on MTV Online, on Music Choice. It was incredible. And it was next to some names that you would think, some dudes from Brooklyn just doing their thing. They shouldn't be doing this.
Oh, listen, I know you guys made some head spin, because a lot of that stuff, we both know a lot of money was dumped into promoting and producing. I make the joke about the Bieber because I'm not a fan, but we both know that whole thing is a commercial investment. So for you guys, a bunch of guys from Brooklyn doing it on your own without any suit money behind it, be able to make that kind of impact, I'm sure kind of threw a bunch of marketing models right out the 12-story window. You know what I'm saying? Because you did it completely contrary to what their imaginary model is. And that's, again, one of the things I've always respected about you over the years. You haven't made excuses. You're not ashamed to play a street fair type of thing, or to play with bands that nobody has heard of, because you still remember what it was like to be on that side of the fence.
We're still that, we're still them. We're still the people that come to our shows, man. Like if you come to our shows, you'll see us in the crowd with everybody. We're not like backstage guys. We get what the connection is, and we understand that, like, man, without the fans, there really is, you're not doing anything. You know what I mean? So to be able to have the luxury of the following that we have and the people that are behind us, again, is it a luxury? No, we built it over all these years. We connected to all these people over all these years. but for them to keep coming back because there's something very real between our connection. I mean, we're them. We're just music fans, you know. So,
but you built your own house. Again, it's that old world analogy. You built your own. Now you can, granted, you still got to keep working it to keep it going and expand it, but it's yours. It's not somebody else's. It wasn't just, gifted to you. You know what I mean? It didn't just fall out of a tree. You put your blood, sweat, and tears into that over a long-term process. You kept it framed within the family dynamic, within the old school dynamic. And you have, let's call it, the blessing that you actually enjoy what you do. You're doing it for the right reasons. Again, when we were joking, you're not going to be retiring to the Hamptons off of this.
No. It's incredible for us too, after all these years. Like for me to look back at the guys while we're doing what we do, while we're in that zone. For example, like our drummer, Jordan Bernaccia, you cannot get the smile off of this guy's face, man, when we're doing our thing. You know what I mean? It's like everybody gets and appreciates and understands what it is that we have, what we've created, how special it is. Me, Jim, and Matt, me and Jimmy have been in the band since the beginning. Matt came in 2010. Jordan came in late 2017. But the chemistry that the band continues to create, and just the vibe, I mean, literally, to be up there and to be like sound like the freight train, and to understand that this has been built on just like exactly what you're saying, being believing in the self and literally taking no prisoners, getting the thing done, and like I said, 2023, we just headlined the historic Gramercy Theater in New York City. What more can I say? It's just been incredible.
It's magic, man. I mean, it's why I called my show the Music and Magic Show, because, we have different words that we put on different things. Some things get stereotyped. Some people are like this, that, the other thing. But language is one of those funny things that, depending upon how you apply it, it really can be interchangeable. And you know what I'm talking about. Being up there with a group of guys, locking in and creating that sound, creating that magic. It's a unique type of thing. I had a similar experience when we first played the Stone Pony, and my son, was my rhythm guitar player.
That's awesome, man.
For me, playing on stage at the Stone Pony with my kid, like, listen, I wouldn't care. And I was joking with a buddy down in North Carolina. He's playing in a Jimmy Buffett cover band right now to make some extra cash on the side. But he was a metal guy back in the day. And we do what we got to do. I wouldn't have cared. I would have done, Tiny Tim. Just the opportunity to be up there and do that with my kid was just magical enough.
That must have been incredible, man. That's great.
And I mean, I know you understand it because you've been playing with your brother for years. It's a family dynamic.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's funny. I have, my two daughters. I have an 18-year-old and an 11-year-old. And it's in their blood, too. It's incredible. It's incredible to see it, how it just kind of, they have the musical gene. And to see that must have been great, to actually be jamming with your son up there. That must have been incredible. I'm glad that happened for you. That's awesome, man.
Well, like you, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing now was kind of born out of the pandemic to some degrees. Again, none of us were able to do shows and stuff. So I started doing remote track and stuff. And when I moved up here to, Rochester, I didn't know anybody really. So, I built a little home studio and I started doing tracks with people across the country that I had played with and known over the years. And, that kind of led, to the radio station, and now, doing not only my own music, but being able to support the local music scene. Like my kid, still he writes, he does bass tracks. Sometimes he'll do guitar tracks. Sometimes he'll do the writing, he'll come out, he'll schlep equipment, he'll do whatever needs to be done to put the show together. Because you and I both know the back end stuff usually is the most important. So, like what you're doing, you have to make sure that things are set up right, because everything else falls from that.
Of course, man. And a lot of times that's like you said, the tedious stuff, the stuff that a lot of people don't want to do. Figure out how to get people to the show. Figure out where these places are that you're going to play. It's not the easiest thing to do.
And just awesome? the basic logistical nuances, like, are we going to have the right kind of power we're going to need? What are the acoustics? You know what I mean? How is this place set up? Yada yada yada. We've done outdoor shows where it's like trying to send a signal to Saturn, and then we played places like Dingbats where it didn't matter where you were standing in the place; it always sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds great. It's a great place like that. If you ever go into Manhattan, the Webster Hall, the Grand Ballroom, we played that place, and it was just thunderous, the sound check. And the sound man, it was just like, want it louder? That was what.
It's like, is that a real honest question? Because, I mean, it's like the Spinal Tap thing. Turn it to 11, man. Turn it to 11.
Tremendous, man. All these stories that kind of happen, over time and everything. And man, I've connected to so many great people doing this stuff, man. When I was a kid, I was a huge. I don't know if you're a wrestling fan, but when I was a kid, I was a huge fan of the WWF, and my guy was the Ultimate Warrior.
Well, the wrestling has been part of the Under My Skin for Life Foundation thing for years. Jimmy Snuka used to come out every year. When awesome. Jimmy was, before he died, when he was coming out, I was the guy that would usually, kind of tag with him and, hey, whatever you need and stuff. And Jimmy was always really gracious. He loved kids. And you and I both know, especially those guys from that time period, they destroyed their bodies. So, those last years for Jimmy, he struggled, but he still made it a point to come out, to support things that were important to him, to engage with the kids, be it, kids with autism or cancer or whatever we were doing at the time. Tony Rodriguez, the Arts for Autism show, September 23rd down in Jersey. Gene Snitsky's coming down, Samoa Noe, some of those guys, from that old wrestling dynamic. But
old school, dude.
Listen, it runs hand in hand, and it always has.
It was just as incredible. We got to, I met Warrior literally years later. He was just my hero when I was a kid growing up, and I got to meet Warrior in the early 2000s, and incredible dude. He asked me to send him my music, our music, the AnAkA Rust and Jade record and stuff like that. We talked over that and met him in Manhattan, and literally became great friends to the point where in 2008 he asked us to do his ring return music for his final match in Barcelona, Spain. Had such a great friendship with the guy. I learned so much. Incredible, hard-nosed, old-school person. But if he trusted you and if he respected you, he absolutely loved you.
He's completely different. Jimmy was the same way.
We went to I was able to go to the Hall of Fame, at the WWE Hall of Fame in New Orleans, literally just days before he passed. And it was just one of those, when you talk about the gifts of music, this is one of those things that was a gift in life. Because, man, how often does a kid get to meet their hero, learn from them, and become bros the way that we did? It was really awesome, man.
No, it doesn't happen often. But that really cool. Obviously led to the track that you did. And tell us a little bit about the Father Time trilogy.
Yeah, the Father Time trilogy was something that Warrior loved philosophy. He had sent me this piece that he did when he did like a spoken word thing. Because he just absolutely loved the piece that Emerson, Rudolph Waldo Emerson, I think his name is, did, and Warrior loved it. He sent it to me, and it was this really awesome spoken word piece. And when he passed, I mean, literally, I was in New Orleans with him, and I don't know if you know the history of it. 18 years of fighting with the company. Finally, they came to terms. They invited him into the Hall of Fame. He was the headliner of the Hall of Fame event at WrestleMania weekend in New Orleans. He was at the WrestleMania event. We got to, me and my friends, we got to go to it as his guests, and got to watch it from the owner's box. Then Monday Night Raw, there with his family and a couple of my friends that worked with Warrior. It was just incredible. He died the next day of a heart attack, and it was a terrible, tragic situation. But what was born of it was this song that, man, I had literally written in 2000 and well, not in 2000, in 1998, I had started writing this song, and it was just one of these songs that I never would put on the record. It was a little longer than the others. I knew there would come a time. And in the studio that year, I remember creating this jazz piece that went to the end of the song. It was really great because it just kind of happened while we were in the studio. Warrior had subsequently also sent me that piece, early on that year. And after he passed, man, I remembered the piece and thought, like, what a great way to pay tribute to, my friend and my mentor in many ways. Let me see if I could fit this into that end piece that we created for the Father Time trilogy. And wouldn't you know it, it was exactly the same amount of time. Both pieces were exactly about the same amount of time. Warrior ends on this last note. It's incredible. It's almost like a goodbye, and it's beautiful. It's something that, if you get to play it, on your program, it would be really cool people to hear it, because it's an honest piece of music that I created so long ago that somehow all the pieces and literally even the words connect to someone, dealing with the end, yet wanting just a little bit more time so that he can say goodbye to the people that he loves, and also maybe tell off the people that he didn't, and show them that he outlasted them in some way. And it's literally about a warrior on his last days. And if you, sit down and you listen to it and you read the lyrics, understanding that I wrote it years ago before any of this happened, it's really an incredible piece that almost foreshadows all of it. And it really makes you think, like, is there destiny? Like, how does this, how does
everything is energy, my friend, and energy works in different ways, right? Yeah.
How does it all work? And it's really a beautiful piece, and I find that in my life, so much of the art that I've created, in being like the main songwriter of AnAkA and even the main lyricist, watching so much of it kind of culminate and find its way into the real world. It's incredible, man.
Really cool track. And I understand what you mean now about the dynamic that you were mentioning, obviously based on when you wrote the song, and then unfortunately with his passing. But a lot of your music is reflective. And, again, I haven't listened to your whole catalog, but I know that there's a definitive trend within it, that it does reflect not only your experiences, but your perceptions, your feelings about that stuff as well, too.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that, because there is definitely a, I wouldn't call it an overlying theme, but there's an empowerment to our music. Yes, there's there's sad parts of life, difficult parts of life, traumatic parts of your life, but there's also empowerment and strength and all these good things that happen. And AnAkA is really about that. It doesn't try to paint anything, into a pretty picture. It just kind of, it's a band, and there is a philosophy to the music that states that you, as a person, just are a powerful freaking being, and that there is so much that you are able to do and just able to be, and the amazing potential that comes from you just breathing. And AnAkA is really, there's a really powerful message in the idea that, man, you're just powerful. The fact that you're here, on this planet and alive, means so much, and that you can do so much with that. And really, if you listen to our music, you know, even in the darkest places, you know, where the songs go to the darkest places, there really is this idea that you can and you will endure, and it just comes from honestly our philosophy of life. It's how the band became, you know, what it is. The band is not about ego. The band is not uh, about any type of a competition. You know, I know a lot of people in the music scene walk around thinking that there's some type of a competition going. And it's funny for us because all we've ever done is competed with ourselves, you know, individually and as a collective, as a band. It's always about pushing forward the music, not really paying attention to what anybody else is doing, but making what we do uh, as powerful as it could be, you know. In rehearsals, we have moments in rehearsals that we come out of jams and we're just like, everybody's just lit up and empowered by just the power of what we're doing, man. It's funny, we played Gramercy Theater, and they got some great people working there. The sound man was telling us that the decibels of the band, I mean, literally, we just turned up the amplifiers, turned on the amplifiers, and started playing. And the guy was like, "Hey guys, I got to talk to you about this." I was like, "What?" Well, we can't be at the loud decibels that you're at. You're at like 100, I think, and 27 decibels, and that is like not something that we could do at the club. And that's a big club, but it was just really like innocent and funny that our gear is just turned up to that volume.
They were like, you just got to dial it back just a little bit.
We started looking that up, and it was really funny. Matt and Jordan and Jim were looking that up, and they were like, "My God, it's like teetering on, being abusive to the ear." And the funny thing was like I think Matt read this, that it was the same volume as a freight train. the same decibel level as a freaking freight train driving by. It was just such a funny thing to see. But in all honesty, that is just the power of the band. It's not that we turned the volume to where it was because we want to do that. It's just kind of where it was.
Well, it reflects your guys' comfortability, as they say, in the zone. And again, you've mentioned it a couple times. It's reflective of the personal dynamic that you guys tap into. I, again, call it old school or not, I believe that music only works when it does reflect that. When you try and, package it like a cupcake and throw sprinkles on it and then you throw a wrapper on it, it doesn't translate the same way when you put it out there raw. You let it, kind of become whatever it's meant to be. And it's going to be something different for everybody because that's the beauty of music. Everybody has their own take. Somebody may listen to Glorified Crusade, say, and they're going to take something away from it. And then somebody else listens to it and they're going to take something completely different away. And both are equally relevant. They're both right. It's just that perception thing of what it means to the person in the moment. And you don't try and force that. You're just like, okay, here it is. Take it or leave it. Make of it what you will. But it's real. It's honest.
Yeah, this is what we are. This is our thumbprint. You have a different one. Everybody does, right? This is ours, and like you said, when it's real, when it's people really, I think, connect to that when it's real. You know what I mean? Like we said at the beginning, zero smoke and mirrors, man. Zero shortcuts. Just do what you feel in your heart. Let the music flow. Literally, just like the blood in the veins, man. The sweat on your forehead when you're playing music. It's, for us, it's that personal and it's that powerful. There is no competition. The only competition is the one that we're having with ourselves. And man, it's amazing to me. Having done it for all these years, I just can't wait for the next one. You know what I mean? It's always like that. Tomorrow morning, actually, Matt and Jim are in Europe right now. Jimmy's in Greece. Matt is in France, but me Jeff and Jordan are going to get together and like we're mixing the new record and we're writing new songs right now, you know, for the following record. Why? Because that's what AnAkA is and that's what we do.
Well, I mean, again, the process never stops because it's reflective of you.
Man.
I know you've got a whole bunch of stuff buried in there that may or may not ever see the light of day, but that is, I think, you know, the true sign of a songwriter and musician. You know, again, anybody can be a technical player, but to create music, it's an ongoing process. It's storytelling, you know, with a soundtrack.
Yeah, it's about mixing all of it, man. It's having something for everybody. It's, at least for us, that's what it is. Like if you listen to stuff, I mean, there's a song on the Glorified on the Glorified Crusade record. A song called Lower Than Low. It's literally there's bluegrass in it. It's like death metal and bluegrass, you know, together. But in doing it and in creating it, we weren't thinking that. Somebody literally goes to me, "Hey, man, did you realize that this is like a death metal bluegrass song?" And I'm like, "Wow, dude, you're right." And
what a great concept. See, that's the kind of stuff I love. When I was a kid, and it's funny you say that, the first music I got exposed to was bluegrass. My mother would take me to the bluegrass hippie festivals, and I followed the old timers around with a guitar. That's how I learned to play. And then, you know, I started snatching my mother's albums, and I was listening, you know, to Hendrix and then Zeppelin and, you know, Beatles and stuff. And then, you know, one of the first albums that I bought was the first Iron Maiden album. So when I got exposed to that early metal, you know, Maiden, Randy Rhoads, Ronnie James Dio, you know, the Sabbath and stuff, it really shifted everything. But having that experience as a bluegrass guitar player allowed me to be able to go into any scenario, and I could play with anybody. I could play jazz, I could play punk, I could play blues, and it gives you more tools, I guess you could say, more colors to paint the picture that is music.
I always tell people that when it's good, no matter what type of music you like, when it's good, you know, and you can identify great music, even if it's a piece of music that, you know, you don't listen to that genre, it's not your thing. But when you hear that great piece of music, it's just undeniable, you know? And for us, it's always been in the process of writing, like we don't say stuff like, or people might say it, but then it gets cut down. Like, let's make this heavier. Like, that's not something that's said. Like, I always say this, allow it to become, allow it to be. It's out there. It's coming. We're gonna create it. Let it just become what it becomes. And that's another part of what I love about being in AnAkA, which is only ever been the only band I've ever been in, is that the music, the styles flow within the players, and you know we have an acoustic record. A song can go from an acoustic song to a thrash metal song. We have a Sabbath vibe that might go into an Alice in Chains vibe. There is no places that are like off limits for us.
No boundaries.
Musically. There's no boundaries. And there's also no forcing of it. Like, let's make a song like this, or let's make this heavier. This isn't heavy enough, or let's make this do this. We just allow it really to form. I'll give you an example. There's a song on the Rust and Jade record called Days Went South. And I had started writing Days Went South, and I had this really cool chorus, and I had the verse, and I was like, okay, that's great. And I kind of, you know, set it down, and I just left it. And I knew that it would, you know, eventually formulate and come back to me, and it would be something that would be cool, because like early on, I learned that I had this ability to create, and I didn't have to force. I had the words; they were there. You know, I could find them. And the song literally sat there, maybe a year. Then 9/11 happened, and I wrote the rest of it within minutes. And the song, again, is literally about 9/11. It was written before 9/11, before any of that occurred. Somehow there was a foreshadowing in it of the situation, and then after it happened, I finished the song. Another kind of incredible moment whereby the art, you know, found its way into reality for me in my life. But again, there was no pushing to hammer the song into place. We just don't do it. And I think because we don't do it, when you hear the music, you're hearing music that, you know, some of it literally, like The Race, was written in 10 minutes. There's some songs I don't even have memory, other than, you know, maybe writing the lyrics of how I formulated it. It's pretty crazy how some of them happen. Others are like a fine wine, as they say. I let them sit, and then they become. The Father Time trilogy was that. Father Time trilogy, I think, came out 17 years after it was created. Incredible. But again, you know, as a musician, you learn to feel out the studio, and you learn to know your song. You know,
well, it's also part of your process, you know, and it's that internal dynamic. And you also have the luxury, granted, you pay for that luxury by doing all the work, but you don't have to dance through the corporate hoops of, well, it has to sound like this. We need something that's going to address the, you know, the 17 to 23 male dynamic. You know what I mean? It's just, there's none of that spin. It's just, hey, this is something that was relevant. This is an experience, a feeling, a story. And also, too, I think it's reflective to some degrees of the cultural dynamic, because you grew up in an area that you had a lot of, we'll call it, magical influences. The old ladies give you the evil eye if you're too loud out on the sidewalk, or, you know, just some of those little subtleties about how we perceive things in life. And everybody's got different words for it, but, you know, I talk a lot about this. What we called magic 100 years ago, we call technology now. Yeah. And we're just limited by our understanding and our language of how we frame it. And not all things can be spoken. Sometimes they have to be sung.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. And the idea that if you're an artist, it will find its way to you. You'll create it. You know, I learned that in so many ways, recording the Into the Great Unknown, the acoustic sessions record. Because what we did was I had written, you know, a bunch of acoustic stuff, because I also love that stuff. I'm a big fan of Nick Cave's work, and what he does with his music. You know, the Bad Seed. I don't know if you are familiar with those records, but lyrically,
a little bit, yeah. I've listened to them. I haven't done the deep dive, as they say.
Again, as I said, if it's good, it's good, you know, and there's just so many different types of, a lot of my influences come from very heavy places, but at the same time, also, I go back to the idea, if it's good, it's good. And some of the stuff that he's done lyrically over the years, tremendous. And we went into the studio to record the acoustic record, and, you know, I had the lyrics and I had the chords, but I didn't know what else was going to come of it. And the awesome thing was, what I found in those sessions was that when the red light was on, when the recording was taking place, that my musical voice, as a guitar player, would take me where I needed to go. So what you're hearing on that record is really just free flow of ideas of things that I'm feeling in the moment and everything. And I learned on that album, and I've used this kind of like working through all the other records, that as long as the red light's on, I'll be okay. I'll find something within that is AnAkA, and it will come out. And it's just, I have absolute faith now, and not only respect for the idea, but I just know that, you know, whenever any of us need to do our thing, we go and we do it, because it's us and it's ours. You know, to hear Jim, my brother, you know, belting out his vocals on the new record, or listen to what Jordan did in those, you know, drum sessions. I mean, man, we must have did 150 takes. incredible, man. It was physical, and it was tiring, and it was freaking exhilarating and powerful. But what we do in the studio is just so cool, because it's like I just know that we are AnAkA, and what we do is powerful. But in terms of like writing, it's so, this thing that I discovered. I mean, like when the red light is on, or when Jerry will turn to me and is like, "Hey, dude, you got about a little bit more than a minute of a, kind of a bridge here. You probably should put some lyrics over it." And I'd be like, "No, I don't want any lyrics there." He's like, "Yeah, but think about it. Maybe there should be." And then to pick up the pen in the moment and like write the middle of the Father Time trilogy, which wasn't there, literally on the spot. Or if you listen to a song called Murder of Crows, that whole middle bridge part lyrically was written in the moment because we wanted to add lyrics there. It just goes back to the idea that it's going to be okay. Do your thing, man. And there's no fear. You know what I mean? And that's what all these years of playing in this band and being around my brothers and creating and understanding and reveling. I know you know this and you understand this. Reveling in the moment of what you're doing musically, and how that moment never returns again. You get other moments, but you don't get that same moment. That's the difference between spending money and spending time. Time you never get back. So the understanding of all these things within the process really keep us focused and appreciating what we're doing. I think I'll understand it more as I'm older, because I know that I'm very reflective,
Well, you and I have already both gone gray, so
yeah.
There's no getting away from that, brother.
Yeah, no, I just mean when I'm sitting on a rickety old rocking chair. You know what I mean?
Yeah, listen, as long as Keith Richards is out there, we're good.
That's great. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
That's a standard. We don't have to worry until he kicks it. When he kicks it, then all bets are off, because he's gonna be the main domino. And I talk about that, offhandedly. It's never cool. We always regret losing, musicians. As I do. Turbo passed not that long ago. He did a lot of stuff with Rock Against Dystrophy, and keeping a lot of that scene, between Brooklyn and New York and New Jersey, going good. He was kind of like, the go between, like the Sopranos kind of guy, made it all happen between the different families and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that,
he was a great guy. He really was a great guy. I remember him.
Yeah. Listen, and this is the march of life. I mean, the analogy is, we can't stop it. We can't change it, but we might as well do the things we can while we can and enjoy it. And I think on the other side of the coin, the magic part of this, everything that you've created, whereas you may not be able to go back and recapture it, anytime somebody experiences it, they're going to get that magic. It is a testament to history, you know what I mean, that no matter what else happens from this point, nobody can take that away. You guys are there, you've created it, it's there, until we blow it all up, and then, nobody can play it anymore. But you get where I'm going. Until that point, it's all there.
It'll still be out there.
Right. It'll be there for people to experience, even if it's in a fallout shelter, you know what I mean? That might be the only thing that keeps you sane through the whole thing.
I always say that. Through music, live once. Through music, live forever. We live once. Through music, we live forever. And it's very true. The music that we create, surpasses us, and it becomes our voice afterwards. Look at,
and it's a testament to your kids too. It captures a time of your life that your kids won't be able to appreciate and understand until they're older. But now there's some stuff they can look back and they can put those pieces together between the person that's dad and Pete.
look what we're seeing. Look what we're seeing now with the whole Pantera celebration thing and all that. Watching people in those crowds still wanting to celebrate, Vinnie Paul and Dimebag Darrell in so many ways. I was at the MetLife Stadium show, both shows. Took my wife Olga and my girls, my oldest daughter Olga and my little one, my 11-year-old Mia, and they're all metalheads, all of them. And we went and we saw the 72 Seasons of Metallica tour. It was really great because I love Metallica, I love Pantera, and I love Zach, so it was just great for me. But yeah, man, I mean, think about what they're doing in their 60s, and Mighty Headfield with that downpicking still happening. It's just incredible, man. I'm so inspired by seeing greatness, and growing up in that, and just I mentioned Michael Jordan earlier, that me and Jimmy love those old school basketball things, just watching the greatness there. I mentioned Tony Iommi, and I derive inspiration from so many different places, and it's critical and important to me. It's like I'll literally sit, YouTube is such an awesome tool. I'll literally sit and, watch stuff that I feel where people have like literally touched greatness and achieved greatness, and I'll watch it and literally inspires me. It might not even be in the field of music, man. It might be watching Jordan highlights. It might be watching Ultimate Warrior stuff. It might be watching Muhammad Ali. You know what I mean? Just absolute greatness in the moment. Mike Tyson, stuff that when people have peaked at something, there's such rare air that to watch it and to see the steps that they're taking, to me, is just awe-inspiring and incredible. And it's like I said, when people hate, they're just robbing themselves of inspiration, and seeing those who are the doers and understanding that if you could just watch that, you could learn. And I'm not, there's so much of it. There's so much of it out there, right? People that are out there playing music or playing shows, or, paying their way through their shows or what have you. You know what I'm saying? When it's real, and when you're creating music and people are coming to see that creation, and they want to live within it and celebrate it, there's no greater thing, man.
That's the best definition of magic that you can come up with, I think.
Yeah, man. There's no faking it. There's no faking it. And when it's not fake, it's just, it teaches others. You know what I mean? And then they take it further. So just understanding and honoring the fact that we're able to do it, but the fact that other people taught us this. The kid sitting in front of the record player looking at the Dio album, while the Holy Diver intro is like starting quietly, how it starts from like this whisper into this, just big sound. You know what I mean? It's just,
listen, it is the soundtrack of life. I mean, it really is. Yeah. If you think about it, you just basically did a storyboard for a screenplay, really, just laying that all out. The kid there, you know what I mean? The music slowly coming in. If anybody's listening out there, you want to reach out to Pete on that, because he does own the rights to that movie. So, make sure you hook up with him. Listen, before we run out of time, let's talk about the shows that you got upcoming. We're going to have you back out here again. Myself and the radio station, we're also going to be out October 28th and 29th at Saratoga Springs for the Rock Oddities Con. And I know you have a couple of shows coming up before that as well, too.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be headlining Dingbats in Clifton, New Jersey on Saturday, October the 7th. And then we head out to Patchogue, Long Island, and headline Stereo Garden, another really incredible venue out there. And that's on Saturday, October the 14th. And then we'll be seeing you guys out in Saratoga Springs for the Rock and Oddities Con on October the 28th. And we'll be playing in the afternoon there.
I'll be there. I'm there for the whole weekend. I'm covering the whole thing.
Tremendous. Yeah, and we play there on 12:30 or 1 o'clock on that Saturday on October the 28th, and we're looking forward to it. We're all looking forward to coming out there. It's funny, I was recently out there in Saratoga and really loved the place. My wife Olga is a huge X-Files fan, and there was an X-Files 30-year anniversary con there in Saratoga, and it was actually at the city center there that we're actually going to be playing. So it's pretty incredible that
well, that's kind of what Jem's trying to kind of combine. And I know, you've seen a little bit of what she's been putting together, and my girl's been working with her doing some of the new promotional stuff that's going to come out in the next week or so. She's got all kinds of crazy stuff. She's got paranormal stuff, tattoo artists, artisans. My girl is a witch. She's going to do some of that witchy, type of stuff. I'm just going to do the old wolf thing. I'm going to hang with the bands. I'm going to get my metal on and, just kind of enjoy that because, you and I both know the other end of the spectrum with everything that we do, we don't always get to enjoy the other stuff. We're constantly having to produce. We're constantly having to promote. We're doing this. We're doing that. If it's not for ourselves, it's for somebody else. I do it through the radio station. You do it through other things. So sometimes, sometimes just having the luxury to be able to just kick back and enjoy the music, that's magic itself.
It's gonna be a great time. We really can't wait to get out there and do it. It seems like it's gonna be. Oh, it's gonna be
a fun. It's gonna be a kick weekend. There's a lot of good bands besides yourself. There's gonna be a lot of different things. I think it's going to shift some of the dynamic. You and I were talking a little bit off air that, we have to rebuild a lot of the stuff we've lost. And if we don't do it, no one's going to do it. If we leave it to the suits, they're going to strangle it. They're going to just squeeze the life out of it. And it's all going to become this kind of very, very plain, kind of like a rice cake with no flavor taste, and it's going to get packaged and shoved down everybody's throats. And it doesn't work. It's never worked that way.
Well, like I said, we're still here. We're here. We're breathing. We have all this potential. It's up to us, man. People really have to understand that about their lives, man, and that you can build incredible things if you will only stop yapping and get to work, and believe that it's possible. The cool thing about the Rockin' Oddities con is that it's going to be right near one of my favorite holidays, which is,
Halloween.
So it's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, man, like you said, it's all about building. If we don't build it, who will?
Exactly.
So it's really about getting people together, understanding we're not competing. Let's put together a successful, kick-ass show, and let's have fun with this thing, man. Let's just all, have fun in the moment and enjoy music and enjoy the fact that we get to connect with all these people that, people we've never met and people that we know and just, celebrate music, man. It's going to be really awesome.
We're going to have a blast. Listen, Pete, I want to thank you again for taking the time out. I want to definitely get you back on here before that weekend. I know you're going to be busy with some shows. Hopefully, maybe you'll have one of those tracks that will sneak out there, but either way, you're going to hear a lot more of AnAkA on this radio station. They're going to be playing around. You can check them out on social media, YouTube, all the groovy places. And come on out, October 28th, 29th, Saratoga Springs City Center for the Rock Oddities Con. Pete, thank you again, my brother, and we will talk soon.
You are the old wolf, brother. Thank you very much.
Thanks again, bro.